All right. I will call to order the November meeting of the Goshen County Economic Development Authority. Do we have a quorum?
Mr. Pitzak?
Here.
Ms. Dearden?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Sloan?
Here.
DB is absent. DB Smith absent.
So we
You
do
have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Now we will open the citizen comment period. There being no citizens, I will officially close the citizen comment period, and we'll move on to the approval of the September minutes. I was not there.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I do. You had a question about the jobs at Drive Shack? No, Licking Hole. Did you satisfy yourself with?
Yeah, I think we're straight on where we are with
Okay.
Licking Hole.
And did we send them a letter?
We did, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Saying thank you and
No,
the
but-
loan has been closed.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. So
I'll
we
second.
don't need to do any amendments then. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Scheduled matters. Do we have a treasurer's report with DB not here?
No, we just say that there's your bank statements were included in your packet,
Mhm.
both from September and October. The LGIP funds, the CD has been moved into the Wells Fargo account, and a check has been cut to send it to LGIP. And I will get the answers about how electronic will physically work, and we can report back and work on that next time we meet.
Yeah, since we have two signatures, we were wondering how electronic transfers work. Do you know how?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll figure that out and report this time.
Yes.
All right, so now we just have one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she will. We just have the one CD at Essex Bank, and we'll.
Did that get closed out?
We had two.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry,
other one-
you're correct.
The other
You're
one
correct.
doesn't get closed down until March,
Got it.
so we'll keep an eye on
I
that.
see that, yes.
Any new business?
Yes, sorry. So right now I've got 12 active new projects in in new business specifically. 2 of them have come from the state. 10 of them we have generated either internally or kind of have just happened organically with people calling us asking about space or moving their company, etc. So I've started running our Virginia scan numbers, which is the building and sites database, a little differently because obviously it was going to ebb and flow with how many active properties we have. So instead I pulled it on just the total number of buildings and sites that we as the county have in the database. So when we started 2019 we had 43, Q1 we had 68, Q2 we had 99, and right now we have 105.
And is
So-
that because you've accounted for them more carefully, or?
So I took the listing that was in there and verified which ones were active and inactive, and then went onto a different site, CoStar, which is kind of a national one, and took all of their listings that they had for the county, went through the ones that were active, and went ahead and added those into the VA scan as well.
So you're accounting for
Yep.
them.
And so anytime a new listing comes up on CoStar, I get an email alert and I go ahead and add it into VA scan as well.
And so how do you find out if they're inactive?
So every 6 months or so, they require every property to be touched in VA scan, and so it'll prompt me with a list, and so I go through and touch them. Or if we get a email from Planning Commission or anything that a building, or not Planning Commission, excuse me, from Building and Inspections that there's a new building permit or something has sold or anything like that, I go through and check it. So,
Very good.
yeah.
That's exciting.
It
Lots to
is.
stay on top of.
It is. The other thing is we are bringing the West Creek marketing materials to the Pruitts on Friday to discuss the options we've come up with, and probably will be bringing back a cost sharing opportunity to you all for what that looks like to kind of better market that area to developers and things like that. We met with VEDP at the end of October. We had 9 representatives from the state come out to Drive Shack and meet with us, and that was one of the things they said about about West Creek in general, is that it is 3,500 acres. If you could break that into kind of sections to better market it, because there is a section of it that is Dominion certified for a data center, and that's not
Oh.
really out there as much.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah, and so I don't think it had been marketed that way because they were worried about losing other potential possibilities of saying, hey, data center. But what VEDP told us was data center tells us one thing, that a heavy power user can go there and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be talking to them Friday to figure out what that looks like.
Okay, go back to the West Creek marketing just real quick.
Sure.
And I apologize, I'm coming out of a sickness, so my voice is coming and going. We typically would have bring something like that to you first. But there's still some unknowns that we need to have a conversation with the Pruitts about first. And we wanted to have that conversation with them and kind of iron out some of the details instead of coming to you with, hey, here's 10 options here, here's 3 options here, here's 4 options here. We know that a simple conversation with them can eliminate some of that,
Yeah.
and then bring something back to you that's a little more polished to
That's
have
fine.
you guys look at. So no decisions will be made with them. I just want to be clear on that. So when we meet with them. So. But Casey's done a lot of work. It's not a huge document. Was it 8 pages maybe?
Yes.
It's got a lot of information. She's done a lot of legwork on trying to figure out just simple things like if we advertise in the airport, how much is one of those large,
Yeah.
2 foot by 5 foot
Yeah, because
things
a lot
at
of
an
other
airport?
counties do it.
Right. Is that something the Pruitts would even want to partner on? Is that something that we even want? So there's a lot of still unknowns on that front. So we want to talk to them first, and then we'd be bringing it back to you for consideration.
Thank you.
And then as I mentioned, the VEDP tour we had, so we had 9 members from their staff. They had everyone from the business investment group, which goes out and kind of recruits companies and meets with them at their locations. We had international trade folks, workforce folks. So we had a great kind of variety of people. And then we had, we hosted them at Drive Shack, did a tour of West Creek and all of that to kind of showcase them the development that's there. We drove them around the Cap One campus just to show them the size of it, because I don't think a lot of them knew that it was here and how big it was. And then we also brought in the school system just to talk about that talent pipeline that they're working to create in terms of the CTE programs and things like that, and how these kids are coming out with certifications and things like that to kind of really drive that home that we're doing something different.
And a representative from Luckstone came in and spoke very highly of the county and the coordination with the schools and everything. So
Nice.
it was a good wrap up.
Yeah, it was great. We got really positive review. They liked the kind of generalized focus of it and everything, so it was really nice to have them out. And so, yep, but that's
Drive
it.
Shack's proving to be a very popular meeting place.
Yes, they have
Parking
great.
Who would
lot's
say no?
packed all the time.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That's great.
They had a great meeting space, which allowed us to kind of be in Goochland with a very kind of upscale feel to it.
Yeah.
And most of them had never been out, I would say, that far. Some of
Yeah.
them had never even been into Goochland County, so it was kind of nice to be like, hey,
They
welcome.
probably thought it was
Yeah.
so far. It's just
Yeah.
like right over the county
So
line.
I think that's one of the things we realized is that a lot of people were like, yeah, I thought it would take me so long to get out here. And they came, we had everybody there between 9 and 9:15, and they're like, yeah, it actually didn't take
They were
terribly long.
early.
They
Yeah,
were like
yeah.
We
early.
thought it was going to take longer.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was a nice added benefit, but that's all my new business updates.
Great.
Nice job. Okay. All right, existing business update?
Yeah, so Casey's been busy too. I've been busy. I'm scheduling a business walk, so I'm going to go door to door at Oilville Business Park on December 13th. I'm going to take representatives of Comcast with me to see if businesses back there would be interested in getting Comcast into that business park. They currently have Verizon, and from what we're hearing, it's expensive. And so we're hoping that maybe a little friendly competition might bring down the cost.
How many
for them.
businesses are in there?
So I estimate around 20. There's like 13 parcels, but some of the buildings have multiple tenants in them.
And that's not the industrial park, that's,
This is the business park that's
kinda-
on Oilville Road. Yeah, not the one
Yeah.
on Broad Street. I've been reaching out via email and phone calls to several businesses back there, and I haven't really gotten anywhere. So I just want to knock on doors and drop off information, even if they're like, I don't have time to talk to you right now. At least you have my information. You've seen my so that's the plan. You're more than welcome if any of you want to join me. I don't know how long it's going to take. I imagine all day. But that's what I'll be doing on December 13th. Looking forward to that. You might have heard in the news that Capital One, the headlines were a little misleading. It said something like Capital One laying off, 200 people, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was not necessarily, that's not the whole truth. They have a restaurant contractor that provides all their catering and restaurant services, and so they were switching contractors. So I worked with the state, the Virginia Employment Commission runs a rapid response team. So when they hear that there's going to be layoffs, they have to submit what's called a warn notice to the employees. When those come through, VEC moves in and they try to coordinate with either the new contractor coming in or try to get the employees placed elsewhere quickly so they're not out of work. And he coordinated, and it turns out that the new company that's coming in is going to be hiring all the hourly people back right in, and all the salary positions will be interviewed and hopefully placed within the same company.
So wasn't that Performance Food Group that left?
It wasn't. No.
So that's what I heard, that they lost their contract with Cap One.
I don't know if it was a sub. It was Restaurant Associates. I don't know if that's a subgroup of Performance Food Group.
That's what I heard from somebody who works at PFG.
Okay. So I know that they were out of New York, Restaurant Associates. So I'm not sure what the connection is there, but PFG has
Given
locations
that
all
it's
across the
unusual, it's something
nation.
that we want to make sure we can catch and track. And the
Yeah.
good news is we caught it right away.
Yeah.
And if for some reason we wouldn't have caught it, the Capital Workforce Development Board, Brian Davis is their executive director. They track all the workforce, and he's really on top of all that. He emailed us, I think, just an hour after we found out. So there are some checks and
That's
balances on
good,
our
you're on
end.
top
So we
of
have
it.
good relationships with them. So they notified us and said, hey, this is what we're hearing. We'll keep you posted on what else we find out. So we're able to catch these things when they happen, to see if there's anything.
I mean, is that something you can post on social media? Because I think that'd be an interesting public relations type story.
With the Capital Workforce. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't see why not. We actually go to their meetings every single month. We're sort of a small piece of their larger puzzle because
Sure.
there are a lot of Richmond's heavy in the Capital Workforce. Capital Region Workforce Development Board is what it actually
Yeah.
is. Chesterfield and Rico, they have a large slice of the pie. We're sort of alongside, but we do go to their meetings and do have input, and we are voting members too. So.
By the way, really
But,
noticed
yeah.
a nice job on the Economic Development Authority Facebook page.
Mhm.
Good job.
Thank you.
Getting a little more traction.
Yes, a lot. I'm right now working with two businesses to try to get Comcast to see if they can be available to them, how much it's going to cost to bring Comcast to them, what does that look like. So hopefully we'll get good news from that. Comcast has each connection that they can go in front of brings their cost down. So there's
Well, just
certain
remember
ways you
that
can-
number is never the ending number.
And so I've been trying to stress to them, do not give out a number to a business that is not the real number. I'd rather you not give a number at all than to give a wrong number. So I've been working with them on that, see if that gets anywhere. I've met with 15 businesses so far. I had 2 today. Most of their issues are transportation related, 288, workforce related, internet or telecom issues. And today I had one that talked about getting snow cleared off the road and power outages during inclement weather. So I thought that those were interesting things. So I'll be categorizing them and bringing them back for a full report once I get more than 15, so we can get some percentages rolling.
On the roads, can I chime in on
Yeah.
that real quick? VDOT has a lot of funding sources. It's actually very difficult to try and track them sometimes. But they have this one funding source called Smart Scale. It's like that's their biggest pot of money really for the state. And you're only allowed to make applications every 2 years. So we made 4 applications because we're only allowed 4, just because of our size. Chesterfield can have 10, Richmond can have 10, we can only have 4. One of the applications was for Route 288 from Tuckahoe Creek Parkway to Broad Street, from Tuckahoe Creek Parkway south to Huguenot Trail in Powhatan, the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization made that application. None of them received money in 2018. We're going to make the same applications in 2020 because we know that and a few others, but Route 288 is a big issue for us. And actually, Sarah came up with a great idea when we're meeting with some of these existing businesses to create sort of a West Creek Alliance, where we have a letter that we crafted that we're going to have Capital One sign, that we'll have CarMax sign, that we'll have, and make that part of our application. We don't know if it's going to go anywhere. Sometimes VDOT says thank you. We're data driven. We don't care what anyone says, but we're going to make a push that some of the larger, workforce companies in the Richmond regions, or here in Goochland and Route 288 is an impact, a negative impact.
Is the application to help clear snow?
No, this is, so what it is,
It's clogged.
I can talk to you for about 2 hours, I'll do it in 30 seconds. They call it a STAR study. So Route 288 is 2 lanes north and 2 lanes south. They actually built the shoulders of the road to sustain the weight of vehicles, so in the AM and PM hours, they want to open the shoulders of the road. There's a little work that needs to be involved in that. They want to put in stop bars that go up and down in the AM and PM hours, things like that. They would have to widen just a little bit, but what it would do is, even though that's expensive, it would be really expensive to actually make full 3rd lanes with an extra shoulder on both sides. So really, they're just opening up the shoulders on northbound and southbound in AM and PM hours. That's that application. So.
Interesting.
So I've been working, that was another bullet point I had, working with businesses in West Creek and along Ashland Road to try to get letters and support signed for these applications. Because I know Ashland Road is also another application that we filed. And then Licking Hole and Hardywood's aphid reporting dates are closing, so we'll be compiling all that information. Should have an update to give you guys sometime in January after it's all gotten back and I can digest it. And along with that, other performance agreements that we have will come back to you in January for a full review. So that's a lot. The shed is going to be having a grand opening. I don't have a date. They're going to be doing it through the Chamber of Commerce, and so Bonnie said maybe December. So that would be a fun event.
And where is that?
They are in Rockville Commerce Center, across from kind of where Midnight Brewery is. They have a really unique concept. You basically, if you have stuff in your shed that's taking up room in your shed, like a canoe or a kayak or a shovel, whatever, you can give it to them and they will rent it out to people, and they will come take it from your house, take it to their shed, rent it out, deliver it to the people, and you get a portion back from that rental. And everything's insured, so if the person who rented it breaks it, you're not out that canoe or whatever. So it's a pretty cool concept. They're in the middle of gathering items now. So I've been trying to get the word out that if you have things that they're just taking up room you're not using, it might be a good way to make some money.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. And
Going
so,
back to Licking Hole, do we
Yes.
know if they filed for their extension for their aphid grant?
She gave me her report, her 2nd year report, and where she talked about filing requesting an extension to do cabins and some overnight stay. And we responded back and said that the cabins and the overnight stay, while that's a great idea and it's a tourism aspect, it's not in the spirit of the aphid grant. The aphid grant is to take agricultural Virginia-grown products, add value to them, and then sell them. And so that's what the grant was for. And so I had just sent that email today. I have not heard back from her.
And
on
they
that.
even told her when we went out to Licking Hole to meet with VDAX and sat down with her, they said you can't change the scope of the original aphid grant. You can have an extension, but you
Yeah.
can't change the scope.
Yeah, so it does not look like the extension is we're past the time period now for the extension. So I'm hoping, like I said, to bring a full report back to you on everything in January
Okay.
after I have time to digest it and verify it.
Good job.
Yep, that's all I have.
We're
Thank
very,
you.
very fortunate to have you two working on this. I think a lot of progress has been made. All right, moving on to a legal counsel subcommittee report and recommendation.
That was DB and Mark.
DB and I both worked on this with y'all's help. The ladies helped put together a really nice package. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through it, see if anybody's seen any of the stuff. But
You and DB were the only ones that saw it.
anyway, we had 7, I guess, companies reply. I'll briefly go through them. Williams Mullen, McCandish Holden, Sands Anderson, Gentry Locke, which is a Lynchburg firm, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Hefty, Wiley, and Gore, Hunton, Andrews, and Kurth, Christian Barton, and McGuire Woods. All over the road, to be quite honest. Costs are high. Some were flat feed, some were flat, just a total cost per month. Some threw in consulting on the side, which were quite expensive, I thought, in general. But having seen DB's report, and strangely, I came up with a report kind of on different grounds, but we came with the same recommendations.
Wow.
Well, good.
Just a little bit different. I had thought that Christian Barton had made the best pitch. But I will tell you that I came at it from a point of view different than DB's. My point of reference really is that I think we're relatively small and relatively unsophisticated as a county right now, relative to other counties. Fairfax County and Henrico County is a great example. They have tons of bond issuances and that sort of thing. And I just don't, in my brief experience, I don't see that happening here. So we were given all kinds of feedback. The presentations, I don't think they really knew exactly what we were looking for other than representation. So they threw in a lot of things that I don't think we need. I think DB would agree. DB recommended McGuire Woods. I had Christian Barton first and McGuire Woods second. DB thought McGuire Woods was his best pick. McCandish Holton was second, and Christian Barton was third. McGuire Woods gave us a very good proposal. DB, I think, liked it because they also had consulting on the side as well. McGuire, to give you an idea, McGuire Woods would have can do EDA consulting, but they didn't give us a number. They just said each project would be determined separately. But they have the ability to consult with us. Only 3 out of all of these people offered any kind of additional consulting on the side. And to give you an idea, the other 2, one Hutton, Andrews, and Kurth wanted $20,000 a year to consult for us. Williams Mullen wanted $3,000 a month, just as a retainer. So my point of view was that Christian Barton is at, just to give you an idea, also on hourly rates. We don't want to do that, are we? In general, Christian Barton was very economical. McGuire Woods has a range that's a little bit broader, let's say. Given that, and a lot of these guys in their reports said that we'll appear with every meeting, and I don't think we need it, right? I mean, are we in agreement that we don't need that?
Absolutely.
So if we're in agreement that we only need consulting when we feel the need to seek outside counsel, my opinion is that Christian Barton and McGuire Woods are large enough. They have extensive. They have a labor pool that's extensive enough from a legal standpoint. Bless you. That can help us with, I think, everything that we have. They are here, and they're readily accessible. I've used both.
And do they
outside.
have EDA experience?
They do. They absolutely do.
Which firm was the one we met with?
Williams Mullen.
Oh, okay.
Williams Mullen has too. Williams Mullen, right in there. I mean, from a cost standpoint, not much difference, except that they, when you talk about a consulting rate or whatever, they were pretty high. Not that we even need it.
Yeah.
The point is, I thought that you right now, I think that it makes sense to go with what we need rather than somebody that could grow with us, because I think the growth is going to take a while. If we were going to have bond issuances and that sort of thing, then maybe we would go back to the table, I think, and looking forward, I think we would bring it to the table and say, can our legal representation currently do this, or do we need to go back and find somebody else? But I just don't think I think that's 3 or 4 years at
Yeah,
most.
I don't think it makes sense to retain somebody now for what we might need.
So in talking to DB, said I could go with Christian Barton as my first too. So we came back and recommended that Christian Barton be the choice to start.
You know.
I've worked with both Christian Barton and McGuire Woods on the outside. Christian Barton worked for an association that I was on the board, and they were very, you tell me what you need, we'll show up when we need to be there. They are not going to press us, say, hey, we signed this deal, where's the hour? I just don't think, I think they're going to be very, whatever you need us to do, we'll do. That's my opinion.
Sounds good to me.
Typically in the past, we've only really needed to have an attorney maybe, 6 times a year? 5, 6 times?
It really depends upon the bond offerings, any contracts that might come forth from the county.
If
for
that.
So it really varies year to year.
And we've had them come out a couple times a year, I'd say, to do various things. Well, during the bond issuance
Yeah.
and the real estate stuff.
Some of them.
And to do a little, didn't they do some training for us one time on,
What's that?
something on,
FOIA maybe?
FOIA.
Yeah.
So, that sounds good, I think. I would go with your recommendation.
I have no reason to not.
We probably would need a motion and a vote on that.
I'll make a motion to approve, what was the name of the?
Christian Barton.
Christian Barton as our legal representation for the EDA.
I'll second it.
Hey,
Are you second? Did you second it?
You want a second?
I'll second. I just asked you if you're okay with it. You seem to maybe.
Well, I'm trying to show a cold face. Because I'm going to abstain just because of the fact that they do represent, Christian Barton, along with one other law firm on there, does represent us in contractual matters, any litigation and so forth. So I want to completely abstain from any
Okay.
potential
Understood.
conflict of interest.
Good.
So,
Thank you for your work.
is there any further discussion? So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So you're gonna abstain, and
Yes.
any opposed? No?
Mhm.
All right, so we'll go with Christian Barton.
I'll reach out to them and see if they'll have a contract or something to give us for review.
I think his name, Michael Guanzon, I
Good.
think is his name, the person they expect to be our lead counsel, Michael Guanzon.
Don't mind getting a dark alley with him, do we? Ooh, all right. All right, other business, an update on office relocation?
Yes. Yeah, we just bring that up. Yep. So there was an article in the Gazette today about the Board of Supervisors just approved. Yeah, that's fine. The rental agreement for the chamber and for Goochland County Economic Development to move into this building. This is the old.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's right there. There it is.
Yep.
So it used to be a bank at one time, it used to be a library at one time, it used to hold students at one time, but this is right across from the courthouse area. They're in the middle of renovations now. It still has the old bank vault inside of it, so it's pretty cool. Will you bring up the diagram there?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So,
We'll start at the front door.
yep, that's how they're gonna have the entry foyer. Office 1 and 2 will be housing the chamber. They have 2 employees, and then office 3, 4, and 5 will be Casey and I, and then some flex space. And then there's the vault there we're gonna have for storage.
It's gonna stay because it's pretty big.
Cool, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
wanna-
You can't really move it.
And then in the back is a really large conference room. So that's where, when we move, we'll be holding our EDA meetings there, and chamber meetings. And that's where we can also hold training sessions for businesses and roundtables and all sorts of really cool stuff back in that room.
Is it larger than this conference room?
I'd say not by much, but yeah, I'd say it's bigger, but not by much.
So is there
Yeah,
an
it's pretty
extra
big.
office then? Or
It's labeled as office. We're gonna use it for some flex kind of storage space for the time
Is there another exit?
Yes, so we see where those steps are there?
Yes.
There's an exit right there.
Okay.
Yep.
There's no basement?
There is, there's a half basement, it's kinda underneath the conference room, we don't have this, yeah.
Is that gonna be storage space too?
Yeah, they don't have plans for it right now.
Because
but
the chamber has quite a bit of stuff.
They do have a lot of stuff, so.
But we also have a vault to put it in.
Oh,
Yes.
Right.
So excited.
And how many
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
parking spaces?
Oh, plenty of parking right next door. I don't know if you can see it in the, right in that area
Okay.
is a full, parking lot that's owned by the county.
Got it.
So.
Perfect.
Is that where the church is right there?
That's where the two other rental buildings
Gordon
are,
Construction.
and Gordon Construction, then the church.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So the chamber's office is just on the other side of that white building on
Yeah.
the left.
That's sheer wildness.
So that'll give them
place.
more space
Yes.
than they have now?
Yes. And also, cheaper rent.
Yeah,
So they're looking forward to moving as well.
good.
And when's the expectation for that?
We are told around the first of the year for us to move in, and then the chamber will move in March.
It's got all the metal studs up right now. So they already did all the demolition, well, majority of it. Metal studs are up, so it's moving along. Wiring is in,
Oh,
electrical
wow,
wiring.
that'll go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Kelly?
something for you to consider was, Mr. Badesky has done it, when he was in New Kent. He named a conference room after the Economic Development Authority, in exchange for money to buy furniture for the conference room. So, up to you guys if that's something you're interested in. But for namesake rights, don't roll your eyes, Mr. Smith.
I won't put that in the minutes.
So, I don't know if that's something you wanna think about and we can talk about it, or if you want to set a number not to exceed. Suggestions.
The chamber would also be using that conference
Yes,
room.
yes.
Hmm.
I think we should maybe ask either, I know Dominion furnished the whole Louisa County Chamber building with old furniture. It was beautiful furniture, it looked just like this.
Old furniture.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, ask Kaplan or Carmex or Dominion, maybe if they might consider donating some office furniture.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
What about a sign?
So, like on the front of the building,
Mhm.
I don't think it has been determined signage yet.
Initial talks were to have like a nice wrought iron sign coming out,
Mhm.
and then having sort of like the hanging sign coming
Mhm.
off the front. But it's still installed for
Ye
conversation.
old English pub.
Well, I know, because
Ye old
the chamber has a terrible signage. You
Yeah.
can't see who the chamber is in there.
Correct, yeah.
So hopefully that will change.
We'll have more details probably for next month's
Cool.
meeting. Derek Stamey is actually in charge of doing all the renovations, and he's been talking to Mr. Radesky about sort of the look and the feel. So we should have some more answers, hopefully in about 4 weeks.
I'm glad to see a building like that being restored and used in the
Mhm.
courthouse,
Yeah.
especially. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's not very many nicer buildings that are really being taken care of.
Yeah.
We're excited. It looks
That's great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Has separate us too, as from the government, so.
Mhm.
Some people see us as more regulatory
Huh.
when we're
Okay.
in this building. so.
Thanks. It's nice.
The only other things I wanted to mention under other business is that, chair, vice chair, and treasurer appointments will be in January. Your meeting calendar for the year will be established in January. And then, as I mentioned before, I'll be bringing full incentive reports back, on all of the outstanding things that you have in January for you to review. So, just a reminder that those things will be coming up.
So do we have a nominating committee? I think we had a nominating committee before, but.
Usually,
We need. Most people on
If I
here are.
have-
I think the
Yeah, I think you did
DB
one last
was-
year.
I think
If I remember
so.
correctly, I
I
think
think
you
my
did one last
first
year.
meeting last
Yeah.
year.
I think it was me. I was on there and you were there.
Yeah, I think it was you, me, and
It's like my
DB.
third.
Yeah.
I don't think I was here yet.
No, you weren't here.
In current terms, do you know when people are up?
For like expiration,
maybe not.
Yes.
But we do.
Yes, no, I do, I just looked at it. I think, it's either Mr. Pittock or Mr. Schmidt is up, in July. I can't remember which one it is, but we have a couple months, like it's, and I can get that information
Yeah,
to
we can
you.
get that set up.
I don't even know when I'm up.
Lisa B has a.
You go into the
tracker.
website.
You were
Have
up
you looked
last
at
year and been
EDA?
reappointed for 4 more years, so you're in your second term. You're stuck.
Holy cow, okay, that's okay.
I thought I had that.
Okay.
So, if we are thinking about not having a December meeting because you won't be here, do you
I won't be here.
want to
Period,
go
so.
ahead and establish a nominating committee now for a report in January?
Probably not a bad idea.
Yes, it's on the webpage.
Anybody wanna volunteer?
Sure.
I will.
So we can only have 2 people on the nominating committee, otherwise it'll be a quorum, it'll be an official meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Do you
Um,
want-
So Mark and Kurt?
Yeah.
So you 2 can set up time sometime
In January?
Mm.
Yeah.
well, before our next meeting
Okay, December.
and
In
bring
December.
And bring a slate to
Okay.
the,
Do you want to know the dates of expirations? Ben, May 31st, 2021. DB Smith, July 31, 2021. Lisa Dearden, 2/28/19.
You were reappointed.
And myself, July 2020.
There you go. That's what I was thinking. I knew it was either you or
Yeah,
Mr. Schmidt.
right.
so yeah, yours is coming up.
Mm-hmm. You all right?
Okay. All right, is there anything else under other business? Anybody have anything they wanna bring up?
If I may, Madam Chair, real quick, are you seeing any trends right now? General trends in business, either expansion, existing, or new?
I have not talked to any existing businesses that are looking to expand. What I'm hearing is everybody's holding steady. They are doing well in the economy, but not well enough that they need an expansion.
And I would say from new businesses looking to move, they're looking for existing space, which is something we lack, which is very hard right now. They're looking to move in and turn around pretty quick. They're not looking to make those massive, large space investments.
No CapEx that you see?
So that's the biggest thing we've been seeing. So a lot of the projects that are coming to the state, we just don't have the buildings available for them to even consider Goochland County.
But we do have a lot under construction, don't we?
Yeah, all of our vacancy rates for office, retail, and industrial are under 3%. So when you look,
Oh.
yeah, so we really
That's
don't have.
amazing.
Yeah, it's It's a blessing and a curse, because when you look at, there's a bunch of these entrepreneurial events going on, and I'd love to try to convince some of those folks or work to recruit them out this way. But I don't have anywhere to put them, and they're not at a stage in their company where they can afford to buy land and build or anything like that. So it's a blessing and a curse when you have those. So.
Is it,
And- oh, go ahead.
a quick question along those lines. I noticed the courthouse business vacancy rate, with the I saw the Transon posting of the bid
Yep.
coming open on, is there still, and I'll say for rent signs at another location, is it still pretty dead in the courthouse with regards to, and therefore availability, or do you see any trends there?
No,
at all?
I mean, I would say it's still pretty tight. Once something opens, it doesn't, unless there's some extenuating circumstance with the business, the building itself, they're not sitting terribly long once they go vacant.
I see.
Especially if it's a lease option. To buy like If the owner is only looking for someone to purchase the building, they may sit a little longer depending on the size and the quality of the building. But in terms of if it's a space for lease in decent condition, you know, the roof's not falling in on it, they're turning over fairly quickly. Most of the time by the time I have found out about them, they're already under contract, so.
Yeah, I apologize.
No, it's all right. I was gonna talk about just the construction that we're seeing today, which is not necessarily the answer to your question, but from an optimistic standpoint, the Residence Inn should be open in March, should be
Okay.
completed in March. Sheltering Arms should be completed this spring. The continuing care retirement community, that 1,400 unit, was assisted and dependent and independent living facility, just south of Sheltering Arms. That they're already breaking ground on the road out there. So that's going in, and then I think they said they wanted to have their first building up within this year.
Wow.
Is what we heard. And Retirement Life Community, can't remember how many units that was off the top of my head, I think 200. On Patterson Avenue, right next to the CNF Bank, they've already cleared all the land, and I would imagine footings and foundations are gonna go in soon. I would imagine their
Is that the one that
construction-
gave the big presentation at Wegmans?
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't there.
I was wondering when that was, where it was in the process.
So that's all good news. And then obviously all the housing neighborhoods that are going in can help drive some of that as well. Back to your comment about the courthouse, the Reed Marsh project, 64 houses right across the street from here. There's going to be intersection improvements they have to do, which would be really nice for the front of this building. Last we heard from VDOT is they have to put in crosswalks on all four portions
What
of the
is
intersection.
going on at the Reed Marsh?
64 house. It went through a rezoning process to be 64 houses.
Okay.
Yeah, so 64 house development on public water, public sewer. Don't know the price range of the house. I would imagine probably 400 minimum from what we're hearing. But that'll help drive a little bit more of the business here at the courthouse as well. So.
Are any of these new, like the hotel or anything, are they doing any kind of job fairs or anything like that?
So we are working with CCWI, which is the Community College Workforce Alliance.
Right.
To talk through that, because we're seeing a lot of our new construction people kind of have a very similar job need that some of our potential clients are also looking at. So we're working with them to kind of identify, is there a program or some kind of boot camp that we can start specifically at the Goochland campus to get these people certain
Right.
certifications like customer service, food safe?
Serve safe?
Serve safe, sorry.
Send them to me.
Close.
Yeah.
Serve safe and things like that, where they'll be working in retirement communities and be handling the food, but also customer service towards elderly and families and things like that. And so we're trying to work with them to create some sort of program and what that looks like and how long that would be. So.
Okay.
Are you guys working with Field Days of the Past to find them a new place?
We have heard one potential location. And honestly, it's so just meetings, the hallway meeting, just
Yeah.
passing.
What, do they no longer
type
want to do
conversation? I would hate to even
I
say
think they have to
Taxes
make.
get too
anything
much
more than what I
Oh,
just
is
said.
that right?
This is their last year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
In
can't tell you
September.
we're meeting with them.
Next
by the way.
September.
With
Oh,
Joe
okay,
Fields
it's
is
coming
gonna come
in.
in. We're gonna just sort of talk through what their goals are and what they want to see. So I'm not too sure what that meeting's on the books, but we haven't had it. So.
Interesting.
All right, one thing I forgot, we need to know if anyone would like tickets to the chamber annual, is it dinner?
Event, I
Event
would say.
on January the 16th, which is a Thursday evening. There's 4 tickets available with our sponsorship that we've already paid for, and if anybody wants additional tickets over those 4, they're $55 each.
It's at Drive Shack.
And so that includes dinner, 20 raffle tickets, a specialty cocktail, and bay play. So
I'm definitely going.
Okay.
And if nobody else wants tickets, I'll take a second one.
You gonna have mine?
It's always a fun event.
It is.
yeah, it is.
I will probably attend, but we'll go through the company.
So we need to know by January the 1st, so just,
Yeah,
That's fine.
but it'll be direct through.
Yeah.
we'll put out another
through
email
the
or two just
chamber.
to see.
Or, yeah,
Through your
chamber.
company, through the chamber.
Exactly.
Was there something else, that we had, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that concludes the other business. I can officially close the meeting, but we do have a closed session we're gonna go into. So I will officially close the meeting. Then our next scheduled meeting will be in January.
Did we determine that?
June. I won't be here for December, so
Right.
if you think you'll have a quorum and you wanna go ahead and hold a meeting in December, typically what we've done is move it up a week, so it's not right before Christmas. Not the week before Christmas, but
The
it would be
18th
the
is
second.
Wednesday, when Christmas is a Wednesday, so the 18th is the previous Wednesday.
And I think we've typically moved it up to the second week,
Okay, that'd be the 11th,
which would be the 11th.
December 11th.
Which is like
We can
right
always
around the corner.
leave- Yeah,
Yeah,
say
actually,
we-
we do have it on the books already on
Yeah,
December.
I was
It's
gonna
on
say,
the
we can
books.
always leave it, and look at the agenda. I don't
Yeah.
know that Sarah and I will actually have anything.
Right.
At that point, I don't expect a ton
3
to
weeks
change
away.
in 3 weeks.
It is officially on the calendar already for the
Okay.
11th.
Okay.
So let's do that. Let's just keep it on
Yeah.
the calendar, so. I'll see you in January, and then we do have a closed session.
If you'll
Do you-
read. No,
So December
you
is
gotta read-
canceled?
Yeah, so I need
18th.
the certification
Okay.
motion.
All right, so in accordance with provisions of
Strange
sections
that.
2.2-3711 and 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Goochland County Economic Development Authority convene and close meeting for the purpose of discussion of a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community as permitted by section 2.2-3711, section A, subsection 1 of the Code of Virginia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the closed meeting?
Aye.
Aye.